with Spencer Lino, balls in your court. I mean, so you calling out Spencer Lino right here live from Hosner's?
As a fan.
You want me to recap my worst McKinley moment?
Yeah, we get it. He's undefeated.
You know what I mean? And that's what it's all about.
Man, that's the
getting that dub against the Tigers.
We heard that. And before I get into that, I brought a special guest to my state championship.
We'll just jump in it. This is McKinley Massillon week.
Hold on.
McKinley Massillon week, right?
That was the first thing here on my side.
We talk about LeBron losing championships. What's your record in the state final?
Man.
Let's talk about Massillon's record when it matters.
Welcome in for another episode here. We are inside the coach's office at Massillon High School. I think Paul Brown might be turning in his grave, knowing that there's a McKinley guy.
Yeah, we can keep that in the bag though.
But JP, who we're with here?
Well, we got a couple Massillon legends in here. One a little bit younger than the other, I think. To my immediate left here is Marcus Moore. Class of 2022 here. 23 football season 22. You still do that with your basketball? I always mess that up.
Yep.
But I got to coach Marcus here, D lineman for us. Graduated, went to the University of Akron for a year, and is now enrolled down to University of Purdue, or is it Purdue University?
Purdue University.
Purdue University. It didn't roll off the tongue when I said it. And then to my far left here, we got Coach Josh Hose, boys basketball coach. Also a Massillon alumni, class of 98. That's 98. Now that was your actual graduating year. I didn't butcher that one, right?
Season 97, yep.
Okay. And Tommy, I know we were talking off camera a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll segue right into this. Coach Hose was also a Massillon football player, too. That's
I didn't know that.
That's why I had to make sure I didn't give his football year and I gave his graduating year.
Yeah.
But, so, Coach Hose, what year is this now for you?
Starting year 8.
Starting year 8. All right, man. It flies.
It has gone.
So we got lucky today, Tommy. We knew Marcus was going to be here, and we always catch a couple of our other guys in the indoor working out. It's the time of year where a lot of guys that are at college are home, and that's something Coach Hose and I were, and you were there with us too. We were talking about a lot of guys coming back here, and it's great. Like, we really appreciate you guys coming back. I didn't want to skip over that. I don't know that when I was a player, I realized the impact it had on the kids that are here now playing when they see guys like you come back. And, I know Caden Woolard was here earlier in the week. Dean Clark, Caden Woolard. There's been guys in all week working. We just seen Pringle out in the parking lot. But that's really that's an important deal that you guys come back and show face and all that. So we really appreciate that, and just wanted to get you guys and get a couple words with you while you were here. We got lucky though and caught Coach Hose. This was kind of a welcome surprise here. And,
a cameo.
The guy's got a face for radio, they said, so we figured we'd get him on here. But you guys had your camp today, right? Your basketball
camp? Yeah, it was our last day camp, yep.
3-day deal?
Yep.
And how many kids you said this year?
92, give or take, because a couple days kids come in. Always day 1, people forget. Day 2, they're here. Day 3, some kids got to leave and go on vacation and whatnot. So we're right around that number, 90 number. So it was a good camp.
Nice.
We had kindergartners all the way up through 6th grade.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Good.
And I know we share a lot of guys. We got a lot of multi-sport guys here, and Marcus and Tommy. We talked about. We feel really good about this class of guys coming up, and I know some of our multi-sport athletes, you said, did a great job for you at the camp today, and they're just, it goes beyond winning and losing games, when you got guys like that, you're going to have fun and leave the place better than you found it, which is ultimately all of our goals as coaches.
Yeah, I enjoy this week to see kids that sometimes you don't see that side of them.
Sure.
I mean, and maybe they keep that at home, but you see them taking leadership and developing those relationships with the young ones. And I saw it this year. I showed it actually on film after one of our games late in the season. a couple of our guys got mobbed by the young kids, the 5th graders, now 6th graders, out of the stands, and they're getting their jerseys signed. I said, guys, I showed them on film. I said, this is what it's all about. Like, those kids are there. You guys are rock stars to them. You only get 4 years to do it.
Absolutely.
And Marcus can tell you, like, being in college, it ain't the same as high school because you don't have that local community. So I really enjoy watching our young guys, our high school guys. And we had a couple of middle school kids help us too, developing those relationships with the kids. It's really fun to see them give back.
Nice. And I think that's a testament to some of the work ethic with these kids too. Like, there was a couple of them, they worked for you all week in camp, and then as soon as camp's over, I meet Marcus in the indoor to let him in, and them guys are up there doing footwork drills or football drills and it does take a special commitment to play 2 sports, but it is possible, and it's something that the advice I've always given to kids. I was a football guy that thought I was a hooper. I was probably a basketball player first. I didn't play football in middle school in 7th grade. I started playing in 8th grade. I was a basketball guy. And, my one big regret was not playing basketball when I was in high school here because I thought I had to concentrate on football.
Yeah.
So that's something that I've always really preached, me specifically, to my kids, is play them all. You know what I mean? And a lot of guys think you have to focus, and I'm glad that we have some guys doing both, and it's really a testament. It's hard. It's not easy to do both, but it's possible to do both if that's what you want to do.
1,000%.
Because you were a guy that did both.
I did 3. Like I played tennis. I'm like Travis McGuire, like, right? Travis,
Who wins that match?
Oh, Travis probably.
What about right now?
Oh, maybe me. I don't know.
You get it now.
I don't
91,
know.
Travis might get you.
He'd definitely give me back then. But no, I think the same thing. Like, I heard this from Todd Blackledge at a coach's clinic one time.
Yeah.
From North Canton. He said, and it just stuck with me. He said, my favorite sport was basketball. My best sport was baseball, and I played pro football.
Go, yeah.
And I just thought it just stuck with me because it's like, man, like, what I mean? It's you kind of said it. They're going to find you. Marcus was saying that earlier. No matter where you're at, if you're talented enough to play something, at a certain level, and so it's like you only get a couple years to do it. Just do all the stuff you can, but don't. It is like you said, it's a commitment.
Mm-hmm.
You won't be very good if you're just half in, half out. So, like, those guys doing that today is a testament to that commitment. You said that some days afterwards, asking you to get into the gym to shoot a little bit.
Yep.
That's what it takes.
Absolutely.
And it's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
So, applaud those kids for doing it, and it takes a special commitment. I love it. Like Marcus, I was just celebrating Marcus the other day. Marcus got Gardner first team all county and track. First year doing it. First year doing, he's doing to do great things for us in basketball, and obviously he started and had a great year in football as a sophomore. So, just a kid like that, it's hard to do all those and excel, but if you can do it, what the heck? Why
Sure,
not?
absolutely. Well, and the same characteristics, that make you a good football player, the same you have to apply to make you a good basketball or track. Different skill set, but same, core principles there.
You said in the hallway earlier, they're competing.
Yeah.
No matter what, you're competing, and there's a value on that.
Yeah, for sure.
That makes all of us better.
Sure. So what about you, Martin? Not a hooper?
Nah.
I seen the jump shot. We didn't get the privilege of getting that on film. Maybe we get that before you leave.
I can shoot a little bit, though.
You can put
Just a little bit, yeah.
Well, Coach Hose, I got to bring this up real quick. I know we don't got much time with you, so I'm going over my list of notes here I made.
Yeah, you stole my notebook.
Is that your notebook?
That was my notebook.
Well,
It was red on the outside.
Yeah.
Known.
we did. Speaking of red, that's a good segue into this.
Oh, no.
We did something special this winter when we played McKinley in basketball.
I don't even know what.
Did we get the dub this year? How'd that? So it's, for me, beating McKinley never gets old.
Oh my God.
So to be able to, when did we play them? What month was that?
It was January, I believe, 20th or 17th. This was the day we had a cold day.
Okay.
We were like the only team that played.
Yeah, we thought it might have got canceled.
Yeah.
It didn't. Yeah.
So that was a big deal. That was, I kind of got enjoyed and could get used to getting 2 wins and 3 months over them guys. It's been a while since we got to sweep, and I think we got it in baseball then too, right?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure we got it in baseball.
Yes.
That's been a while since I think we've done all 3.
Girls basketball too.
Girls basketball got one. I mean,
Just
Kicky
bring that up
Martin.
because
Tennis,
that was the first time that's happened in a long time where we got
That's fair.
girls and boys basketball.
Yeah.
And that's a tribute to the Bulldogs actually because they're so good in basketball.
Sure.
Both boys and girls. So
Yeah.
it was a special year.
Absolutely. And I always get a kick out of, I was a bleacher bum when I was in high school. I was one of the guys that painted up and got all that good stuff done. And we beat McKinley my senior year over there at the field house. So that was a good time beating them twice then too. So maybe if we could make that just a tradition here, getting a couple wins off of them, that'd be great.
I filmed that game, man. I got home and you kind of sort through, find a few highlights, and the rest got deleted. I'm just like, man, I don't know. But at least, hey, it saved me time. I didn't have to stay up all night and edit, so I got a good night's sleep.
Winning over there is tough.
Yeah.
And beating them has always been tough for us. We've been in, I think, 7 years I've been here. Pretty much every game has been close, and they've always pulled away at the end.
Yeah,
for us. So we got 2 years ago down there. We got down like 15 or 20 at half, and then came back and just couldn't get an offensive or defensive rebound at the end of the game to get a chance to tie it. So to see our kids kind of, take an early lead and then can sustain that was really cool to see. And it was one of those nights that like Chris and I hits that three. And
Special
you're like, it's one of those ones you're like, don't shoot that. Okay.
Yeah,
It's
a good shot.
we're trying to run some clock, but you let your guys make plays, and that's what it takes sometimes to win big games.
Yeah,
against really great. And McKinley had a great team this year. You got to have guys make plays, just like in the football field. Where, sometimes it ain't about X's and O's. It's always about Jimmy's and Joe's, and your kids making plays. It's
sure.
I mean, the pass X made to get over to that was a great find. He almost lost his balance. And Chris gets lost to their face guard and skip pass, and it's like, I told Chris, that's one of those shots you never forget as a coach because it's right in front of our bench to see that. It was awesome. So
nice.
But yeah, so that was fun for our guys just to get that, and they soaked me with water in the locker room afterwards. Which then I had to go out and do interviews with the media, and it's right outside that door. People kept opening up. It's -20 wind chill.
Yeah.
I'm like turning. I almost got pneumonia after that. It would have been worth it though. So.
But you'll take that every year, right?
I'll take it every year. Yeah.
So I know you guys had a really good year last year, and I know you mentioned Chris. Who else did we lose? I mean, I know we got a lot coming back, right?
Yeah.
What other seniors?
We had a great senior class last year. We only had 3 guys, but Jalen Slaughter.
Yep.
Jalen, I think, graduated the most games played.
Yeah.
I just kind of spitfire. I don't have it exactly, but I'm doing by my calculations. I think he ended up playing like 90-some varsity games.
Wow.
91 or 92 varsity games because he was a 4-year player for us at the varsity level, and so I mean that's an amazing stat.
Yeah.
Then Terrell Keys, his brother played for you guys in football.
Keys,
great kids, both of them. We lose him. Terrell was our 10-point-a-game guy. Our second fiddle to Chris. And then Chris, who was a first-team All-Ohio, 3-year starter for us, going to Mount Union to play. And they're loving him up there. So, we got a lot coming back, but we're losing 3 key guys.
Yeah.
It's always tough to replace that leadership.
And if I'm not mistaken, Chris was Stark County Player of the Year, I think, right?
He was for the Stark Media.
Okay.
One of the publications. And then he was Northeast Inland Player of the Year maybe for Division II.
Okay, yeah. I knew he won some sort of
he has
Player of
several
the Year.
awards, yeah. So, and then District 4 Player of the Year as well for the coaches Division II. So with us going to 7 divisions, it actually opened us up to get some more. Chris is our first team All-Ohio guy at Massillon for basketball, and I think since Horace Gillum.
Wow. Give me a rough, what decade we talking?
That was 1940.
Oh, wow. I didn't know it was that.
I went back last summer. It was an
the
off-season project. Coaches, we can't just shut it down. We are doing something. I went back and I went through the website, and I was like trying to find like all of our historic All-Ohio guys. You're talking to the Mike Perinis and the Dave Grimms and Mario Edwards and just several names. None of them were first-team All-Ohio. Dave Grimm played at Minnesota, so really awesome for Chris, to break that kind of that ice because we've had a lot of guys on honorable mention and different things, but first team. Football, Gillum. We get them all the time. Like it's just it is what it is. But Horace Gillum.
That's a good name pull there.
Crazy,
I knew that name.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, man, that's from the documentary.
Yeah. So that's saying something. Multi-sport athlete too.
Football guy. Yeah, for sure.
Well,
and speaking of that, like you said, the statistic on Slaughter there, in my mind went to. I mean, he played for us as a freshman too, right? What was that? You're a year ahead of him.
Yeah. No, I'm
2 years. Yeah. And, I wonder, football and basketball, how many varsity games he played in. It's got to be a record. I mean, it almost...
Yeah, it's impressive.
That's impressive.
Yeah, when you said he played all 4 years, that's what I thought he did for you guys, too, didn't he?
He came up as a freshman. He never played down for the freshman team. He was with us the whole way his freshman year, and that was the year we rotated him and McElroy in at QB, but... Yeah, that's impressive. I didn't realize he was a 4-year for you guys as
A
well.
lot of varsity minutes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
just impressive stat. I just kind of started adding it up. I'm like, gosh, that's got to be a lot of games.
It is.
Yeah.
Man, that's impressive.
Yeah.
And basketball, it seems like, we always make the joke with football. It's the season's over. We take 30 days, and we're right back in the lab working, and
Yeah.
this, we all know this, the game's not won or lost in December, on December 2nd. Like, the game's won the 10 months prior to that. That's when all the real work's done. And, I mean, that's what basketball is around here now, too. I mean, as soon as the season's over, we're right back at it. And, everybody talks about the grind, and you see the success with Massillon basketball, and I think it's a testament to you and what you brought to the program, and they go to work every day, and you start to see the swagger around the basketball team, and you start to you feel it is real. It's not guys hyping themselves up. They're excited for Massillon basketball around here, and it's awesome to see.
Yeah, I appreciate that. No, it is, again, it goes back to the thing you said earlier, the time commitment. And we actually took a couple extra days off this year coming back from spring break because we had so many guys they're jumping in the weight room right away for football, and they were getting into spring with their AAU teams and with the track season and some baseball guys. So I'm like, I really wish our guys were doing some track. Like I was out in the BG the other day, Braylon Gamble, and I said, did you miss AAU this year? And he said, it's kind of, but not really, Coach. I really enjoyed track. He's like, it got my legs right. I feel more explosive. And I'm all for that. He's putting the work in. He's not like missing out because he's not playing. He's getting the shots up. He's doing the extra stuff. And you said today,
he's one of the guys we were talking about that was up in the indoor. Yeah.
And so that commitment level's there. And so again, it's harder than ever before to be a multi-sporter because there's so many strains on kids of being in these other gyms. And we weren't doing as much when I was in high school and you were in high school, as we're doing now. And as coaches, I think, it's really hard because you want your guys at everything, but you also have to have that understanding. Like, I had to talk with them. They were tired the week we had camp. You guys had your camp week. I said, guys, if you just come to me and say, I told Marcus, I said, Coach, my legs are dead. Like, just let me know.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. Like, it's the summer, it's June. We're not winning and losing championships now. We're just trying to get ourselves in the gym. And I think it means a lot to the other guys that are basketball-only guys or whatever. Just seeing you guys here. If you physically are here but you can't play, or they can understand it.
At least the time commitment's
there.
Yeah,
I'm showing up to support. I'm not going to play tonight because my legs are tired. I'm trying to stay healthy, and there's a value to that. Like, we got to give these guys a chance to rest and recover. So, but tribute to those guys. They're putting a lot of work in. You're right. And basketball does take a lot of skill shooting and all that. Curry's changed the game.
Yeah.
You can't just put a ball away and then pick it back up in November and start shooting and shoot it at a high clip. So. Again, I give our guys a lot of credit for doing it. And they find a way. Gio Jackson's been a real good leader that way for us too. He's showing up, hasn't missed a thing. And, he's been great that way. And I think it puts kind of like that pressure on each other. They're holding each other accountable.
Absolutely.
At that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you talked about a lot of the guys leaving. We had a strong class leave, and you just kind of mentioned some of the young guys.
Yeah.
I heard Braylon Gamble, Gio Jackson, and that both football guys, both actually second-generation Tigers too. Their dads both played at Massillon. Who else can we look forward to this winter out on that basketball court?
Well, you got Jadis Thigpen, who will be a 4-year varsity guy for us.
Yeah.
He's had some great years for us. Has a great summer. He's really looking like himself. He's just so explosive. And then Isaiah Lamp, who started point guard for us last year.
Yeah.
Andrew's brother. Wilson Lamp's brother. Andrew was here this week too.
Yeah. Toledo, right?
Yeah.
UT, Yep.
And then Xavier Williams, he's going to be a junior with Braylon and Gio.
It's Marquise's son.
Marquise's son.
Yeah.
Marquise coaches with us. He's a second-generation Tiger.
Yep.
So there's a lot of those guys that's our main five that's coming back.
So what was it? The story I remember about Williams. What game was it when he had the dunk? Was it McKinley?
It was McKinley.
Was it McKinley game?
Yeah, no,
nasty. It was right under the hoop when that
Yeah.
happened too. It was unreal. Because how tall is he?
He might be about 5'9", 5'10".
Yeah, he got up there for that.
This past game?
No, 2
When
years
you guys
ago.
were all-
When he was a freshman. And the funny thing with
I
that
was
is, I didn't know he had it in him. I didn't know he had it in him, and he went up on Reed Sims, who's 6'5".
Yeah.
Been dunking on us all game, and towards the end of the game, he goes up and threw it down, and I was just,
Same reaction the rest of us had. Yeah, right.
I'm looking around like, did he just? Yeah. So,
I'll never forget that
yeah,
one. That was
yeah.
a highlight that sticks
Yeah.
with me.
He's a kid that I was just talking to Ax yesterday about this. I said, like, he does so many good things on the court that don't show up. like he had some really good awards this year. You know, he got like kind of second team honorable mention stuff. And you're looking at stats like 9 points a game or whatever. But I always say the backside of the stat sheet was like he's like second on the team in blocks at his height, second in rebounding, third, first in steals, third in deflections. Like he does all that other stuff. First in charges taken. That the not sexy stuff that results in wins.
Right.
So,
yeah.
And then he'll do stuff like that. But he could also score it. I think he's going to have a big jump for us this year. With those guys. And that group has a little bit of that closeness. My second year here, some of the names we're talking about with JB, Ballard, and all that group, that was a fun group to coach because those guys were all buddies off the court.
Sure, that helps.
And we always haven't had that. It's hard when you're blending classes and there's always kind of your groups. I see a little bit. We were just at Cedar Point. I was talking to you about like for recruiting. It's called Midwest Live. 5 different states. They have 100. I think they had 128 schools represented, their colleges. And it's a really great event, but it was an opportunity for us to grow. We stayed up in the cabin, the KOA campground, for the weekend. Went to Cedar Point for 2 days. You have to ask Braylon about his roller coaster. He overcame his fear of roller coasters.
Okay, nice.
So we got that going. But it was just like I've seen it in the gym already this week. Guys that weren't connecting on that level yet, talking to each other, and that's a fun thing. I know Nate does the you guys did the trip to Oregon, and now this year they're doing the retreat, right?
Yeah, we're going down to Xenia, Ohio. Yep.
Those things are valuable. Like you said, it's not November. It's August that you're doing those things that results in wins.
Sure, and that's something that I can testify to. That 23 state championship team we had. I mean, that group, not just players but coaches, and we're genuinely friends off the field. It's not just something we run into each other at practice and are cordial. Like it matters when you care about the person you're going to work every day with and it's next to you, and that's a characteristic of a winning team. So those are all hopefully good signs going forward.
Yeah, that's what I saw Marcus. We were talking before you guys got in here. I think it's a challenge for he's going through his college, the transfer stuff is it's really important to try to find those bonds in those times because your window is small and every year your team's changing. Yeah. And I think at high school level is not much different than that.
Right.
You're still dealing with the kids that roster's constantly changing, whether it's transfer, graduation, kids not playing, whatever. So we got to take that time to build those bonds.
For sure.
I didn't even think about it. You're in a video game.
Yeah.
That just dawned on me. I'm like, of course. Yeah. That's awesome.
So jealous.
I know. That's why I was like, that just dawned on me.
Well, you remember the whole Ed O'Bannon lawsuit deal that came out years ago? I was actually in college, so I was on the last college game that was made for Cincinnati.
No kidding.
And they were talking about everybody's getting these checks and everybody and all this and that. And I mean, them checks came in, and listen, man, we wouldn't even have bought a cup of coffee with them.
Yeah,
you couldn't go to Vendors and get around, could you?
No,
the alibi said no.
We still went, but we didn't get to use our NIL money.
Negative.
Yeah. What game was that O'Bannon in?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Well, he was a UCLA guy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Wasn't he a basketball player?
Yeah.
I remember the name, but I don't know.
What video game?
Well, what game were you in?
NCAA.
Yeah. Well, I know that, but I mean, what year?
05.
Because I have that.
Yeah.
I have that.
Number 66 for the Bearcats.
Who was on the cover of that? Was that
I think it was
Reggie Bush?
It might have been Vince Young.
Vince Young?
Was it Reggie Bush? One of the two, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But you could, back then, I think you could still put the linemen in different positions. I was a running back. I was getting 30 carries a game. Heisman runs, all that good stuff.
Well, what year did you graduate from Cincinnati?
07. But I don't think they made the game that late.
Yeah, they did.
05, whatever year it was.
Oh, yeah.
So I got my
they made
years.
up to 14.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, there you go.
14.
Well, Ed O'Bannon.
So then you should be in... Okay.
All the way through, yeah.
I'll find you.
Yeah. Put me in a running back.
Ed O'Bannon, though.
That's kind of
I'll
cool.
go back. It goes back to he was playing for the Bruins back in 95.
Okay.
Yeah. You remember? So, Coach K basketball.
Yeah.
The only good NCAA basketball game that was around. The rest of them were not good.
Gosh, I don't even remember that.
Yeah, it was on Sega Genesis.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I'm the oldest guy in the room, so I played it.
I had Sega, but I don't remember that
Sega
game.
Genesis.
Okay.
Yeah, Ed O'Bannon, he was on that game, and so I think that's where it all stems from. Because he wouldn't have been on any of the new ones.
Yeah.
And that now the NCAA is coming out with a basketball one this year.
Yeah, I saw that they're working on it.
I'm excited for that because the games just weren't good. I mean, it just wasn't. But yeah.
What was the old Magic versus Bird games? I don't even think that was
That's
Nintendo.
Atari.
Yeah, some older than Sega.
And then Nintendo they had Dr. J or Bird and the goat, Jordan.
Yeah.
Don't argue.
Nah.
Don't argue. That's a whole other episode.
That's our whole episode.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome.
I think my first, I had NBA Live 90, or no, was it 2000 with Tim Duncan?
NBA
on the
Lives
cover?
were good. Yeah.
Live 95 was the first one.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What was your first sports game?
Well, it was just 5 years ago.
I know, that's why I want to know.
I mean, I'm just a 2K and Madden guy.
But
So
like 2K, like where'd you start? 2K?
I think 2K, or it was Madden 2025 when they had Adrian Peterson.
Okay.
2020. Wow.
It was like 2025, but it was Adrian Peterson on it.
But it was the 2015 game
Yeah,
or something, right?
yeah, it was
that
that
was
one.
the
Gotcha.
that was the weird one.
Yeah, that's the one I remember. Yeah.
You remember Barkley Shut Up and Jam? That was like a throw-off game on Sega.
You go back to, you talk about original. I still say it's the GOAT of, no disrespect to Madden, but Tecmo Bowl.
Tecmo
Bowl.
Bowl. Super Tecmo or regular Tecmo?
Well, I started with regular.
Okay.
You couldn't tackle Bo Jackson.
Right.
And,
Wasn't
you know,
fair.
and everybody wanted to be the 49ers because they only team that had 3 passing plays.
Yep.
Everybody else had 2 and 2. But then Super Tecmo Bowl came out and took it to another level. That was... Yeah.
And then you had the front office mode, or you can do a few things.
Yeah,
Oh, my
yeah.
God.
Well, the funny thing is, and on Twitter a couple years ago, Tom McDaniels, Coach Tom McDaniels, posted something. It was a picture of the playbook, like 8 plays. And he goes, there's something beautiful and simplistic about this and truthful. And I'm like, yeah, because I think you hear enough coaches that, yeah, we have all this, flipping pages, but when it comes down to it, you're running
Those
8, 9 plays.
Right.
But, your bread and butter, when you're really good, it doesn't matter.
I was going to say the good teams are going to go to those 8
We're going
plays.
with power.
Yep.
We're going,
Well, don't give him all the secrets. Don't give him all the secrets. No, that's good stuff. Well, and we'll let you get out of here, but I did want to end on this note was, I noticed something today at the end of the camp that, and this is kind of out of nowhere for you, but it's just an example of taking care of people and going a step above and beyond and doing something that, you didn't do it for credit, but I watched you at the end of the camp. We're in the hallway, and you walk over to the custodian, you hand him a T-shirt, and you thank him, right?
Yeah.
Now, to a lot of people, that's just, he's giving him a shirt. He's paid to be here, all that. But, to me, for whatever reason, that stuck with me. That's taking care of your people, showing appreciation. And that's just a mark of a good leadership. You know what I mean? It shows, now that guy is invested in the program. He knows the program cares about him. Mm-hmm. Therefore, he's going to care about the program. And I think it's stuff like that really does make this place special. Mm-hmm. You come back here and Dave Hackenbrag is one of my favorite people in the world.
Brings him up every time.
He takes care of well, I'm not talking Dan Hackenbrag.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a brother,
I'm
Dave,
sorry.
that takes
Yep.
care of the indoor. And, the same thing with the custodian in there. They do a great job because they care. They're invested in our programs. And the fact that the head basketball coach took time, you didn't know I was going to bring this up. You didn't even know I saw it probably. But to me, I just wanted to make sure that I brought that up to you. And as a Massillon guy, I appreciate that. And that's real ownership and real leadership of a program. And that's why those guys give back to us the way they do. So that's big time, and I appreciate that.
Brownie, Brownie.
Oh, yeah.
Hack, they do a good job. And then Chris, our other custodian, he's actually out. He's getting surgery. So Brownie and him have been covering for each other. But, I read John Gordon. I don't know if you've ever heard of him as an author. Energy Bus and all that. Energy Bus is a big book. But he had something in there the one time. It stuck with me. And it said that this custodian was working for NASA. And one of the presidents came through and said, man, I've never seen, you're working so hard. As, custodian goes, I'm not, just he's impressed with the guy's work ethic. And he said something to the guy, and the custodian responded was, I'm not a custodian. I helped put a man on the moon. You know what I mean? It's like, those small contributions, like everybody doing is kind of that part of the wheel.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
So I appreciate, noticing that. But
I
was trying to take care of our lunch ladies. They fed our kids all week. And so we always try to get them a couple shirts. And, because those people... Yeah, the kids care more about the food than they do the camp.
Absolutely. Sometimes that's the best part of the camp.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but no, I appreciate that.
For sure.
Definitely.
For sure. And
Special place.
maybe as this interview ends with Coach, we can do some Googling and get some pictures of him up in his uniform. I think we could go back and find out what somebody looked like.
Google was
I
kind
had
of
hair back then.
See how far back in
Coach,
the
I had
archives
hair.
we can go. Okay.
I had hair almost like yours.
Oh,
maybe.
yeah?
Yeah.
Did you have the
Not
beard,
pretty.
too?
I
Did
didn't
you
have the beard back
you
then.
had the beard
yeah.
on?
That's the only hair I can grow now.
Okay. and then you know, I've said it for years. You don't know this. You might not know this. His dad was a longtime principal for Lauren Andrews. It's a middle school I went to, and a longtime coach. So again, second generation Tiger, knows what it means to be a Tiger. And I really think the place is better off with guys like you coming back and that really care about the program. And the whole reason I'm not trying to, you know, I don't need nothing from him or want nothing from him. I'm not trying to butter him up.
Oh, my God.
I brought that one up, you know, because I think his dad, just to put this in our memory bank, we need to get him on a hot mic one of these times. Because there's some stories there. Well, we'll do the delay. We'll have to do the 30-second delay when he gets
I
out
got
here.
the sound ready to go. There's a beep somewhere on my computer.
You know what's crazy? Like my dad would tell me stories for years when I was a kid that I thought like, nah, I can't. And then now I've gotten to meet all his friends and people like now
Reaffirming?
Well, yeah, they're like, you know, guys, you know, I ran into somebody at the Eagles the other night. My dad coached, and he was like, "Oh, that story happened. Your dad put his hand through the roof of a bus one time on a halftime speech or something like that." I'm like, okay.
So he wasn't just making stuff up?
Yeah, so I don't want to ruin it if you ever get him on, but oh my gosh, he has stories.
Well, this is his official call out to come get on the hot mic. Your son did it. We got to have Pops on here.
Absolutely. Yep.
So,
You do a
well,
great
good
job.
deal. We appreciate the
Appreciate
time.
you
I know
guys.
you got a wife and kids at the house. And
Yep. We're getting ready for vacation here.
specifically, the one son that plays tight end for the Tigers. Get home and get him fed.
Number 22.
Yeah, number one in your hearts.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Sorry, Marcus, it takes so much of your time.
Thanks, man.
All good.
Nice to meet you.
Keep doing great things.
For sure.
Good seeing you as always.
Appreciate you. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, we're back here with Marcus. JP, I'll let you kind of start, you know.
Yeah. Well, we had Coach Hose in. That was a surprise. So we got to switch our gears back here from football to basketball. I know we're kind of in the off season for both here. Luckily enough, though, we got Marcus Moore from. Now we got this right earlier. It's Purdue University. I'm so used to Cincinnati. It's University of Cincinnati, so everything to me is University. But from Purdue University, I got to coach Marcus here. Thomas, he played D-line for us here. Junior, senior, 2-year starter here for us. Went to Akron originally out of high school. Had a really good first year at Akron. Ended up at Purdue. Class of 22, we said that right. 23, that's what it was. I messed that up. But you know what's crazy? What's crazy though is it's literally 20 years. I was 20 years ahead of you. So my graduating class was 03.
True.
And my year was 02.
Yep.
But I say the same thing when people say, like, what year did you graduate? I say 02. Because we're talking about football team.
year.
And the 03 team went like 4-6, so I'm making sure they don't associate me with that 03 squad. But anyways, Marcus, you got to we might as well start off on the topic at hand here. We got a little thing going on our podcast here. You know, him and my man Jones. Every time we shoot something in Massillon, my man Jones is too scared to pull up. Where's Jones
I
at
didn't.
today?
Well, that kind of is my fault. I didn't
cover
text.
for
No,
him
I didn't
now.
text him. But because I just assumed he was with their kids.
Oh, Jones. You know,
I
they say
assumed he
everybody
was-
assuming.
I know.
So-
I shouldn't have. I thought that's what you guys were doing. I thought that's what he would have been doing.
So, Marcus, you
So
were
it's my
here.
fault.
You were here. How many McKinley games you get to play in? 2, right?
2, yes.
And you got the victory, but how many times you get to roll that baby across?
Both times.
Both times,
years,
right?
yep.
We're going for number 10 this year. Before the day's over, you think it's wild, ain't it? 10 in a row.
It's crazy.
Before the day's over, when we're done talking, we should probably walk out there and show Tommy the victory bell. He's not that old, so I'm not sure if he's ever seen it. It's been a while since.
I've seen it many of times. It's just been a while.
It's been have
It's been
cobwebs
a while.
on it
It's been a
last
minute.
night. You've seen, but we'll go showing that. But Marcus was 2-0 against the Bulldogs. I know we got a picture in the weight room a little bit earlier. You got you was part of our sledgehammer crew. We went down there to University of Pittsburgh. Or is it Pittsburgh University? Am I butchering that one too? Now we got to do some research. We went to Pitt.
Pitt, there we go.
Went to
Let's go to
Pitt. He got a couple hammers. He got a couple victory bells. Really successful couple years here as a Tiger. The one question I wanted to start out with you and just get right to it was how does that go? Like obviously when I played, the recruiting deal was a little bit different. And for me to say I understand the present day recruiting would be a complete lie. It's a mystery to me right now, the way they're doing it. Specifically what I'm talking about, you went to Akron year one.
Right.
1 and 2, 2 years
I
Akron.
transferred to BG for that semester. And then
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How does that go when you made the determination that I'm leaving Akron? Does your recruiting basically open back up at that point?
Yeah, I would say it's kind of like starting all over again. It's kind of just like high school pretty much. Like as soon as the portal opens up, then colleges can reach out to you. And it's just taking official visits just like high school. It's like high school, but in about a week or two like time period.
Got it.
So it's just like a much faster process because I've been in college and I know how it works. So.
Got it.
How do you officially declare yourself for the portal?
Well, you got to go to like the compliance office at the university, and then you got to watch a video, I believe it was, about being eligible and school, like saying that schools can they don't have to talk to you if things don't go well and just little stuff like that. And it also said on there you don't have to tell your coaches you're hitting the portal. You can just go to compliance and keep it personal if you want to.
Gotcha.
You don't have to do stuff like that.
Nice. So when you first made the decision to get into the portal, you originally went to BG, correct?
Yes.
And then their coach we were just talking about this, went to the Eagles.
Quarterback coach, yep.
And then that's when you decided to go back into the portal. So did you have to go to the compliance at BG and same process again?
Yeah, I had to do the same exact process again.
Now, does it matter that their coach left, or you can go in the portal whenever you want? Or
So since the head coach, so this is how it works. If the head coach leaves, you get an additional 30 days, I believe, of being in the transfer portal to where coaches can contact you.
Okay.
It's something within those days, but they can contact you. So you get a longer period of time just because the head coach left.
Got it.
If your position coach leave or something, then you can't, obviously. But head coach leaves, so that means the whole staff will most likely change. So you get an extra 30 days to, adjust and go where you try to find somewhere else to go.
Okay, makes sense. More from my education than because I was trying to catch up on how all that worked.
Yeah.
What was it? Obviously, Purdue. I mean, the name says a lot. You hear Purdue, you think big time football, but was there something specific about Purdue that got you going that direction? Or
Yeah, a couple of things. I got a coach that was at Akron. Actually, he was our safeties coach. He's an analyst and linebacker coach at Purdue. And I also have a D lineman that was CJ Nunley. He was at Akron with me, all MAC player, and he was there. So it was already connections there. Plus Purdue education is top notch. I leave to graduate from Purdue, I'm not going nowhere I'm going to stay at Purdue. Just because the degree, once you leave there, that's just a big thing to have on my resume.
For sure.
And
Yeah,
it helps
absolutely.
a lot. Yeah.
Nice.
And also the D-line coach, when you go on an official visit and everybody's hyping you up and they just seem like they're overreacting, and then when you get there they're not like that. No, Purdue is all the staff is you're on an official visit every day.
Gotcha.
It's the staff there is amazing. I love it.
High energy.
Yes,
Yeah.
every single day, and they're going to get on you, but they're going to love you at the same time.
Yeah, and that's important. That's encouraging even for me to hear. It sounds like you found a good spot for you. How far of a drive is that? That's a haul, isn't it?
5.5. It's not
Is
too,
that close?
Not too bad, yeah.
So maybe we take this show on the road one week and try
I
to go
would-
catch a
Come
Boilermaker
Come to the
game.
facility.
I'd go.
Yeah,
I'll get you on the
nice.
facility for sure.
Nice. Well, and in addition, you got a lot going on right now. You landed back at Purdue. You're trying to get yourself in shape for camp. You don't do spring ball anymore, right? There's no spring ball.
No, there's spring ball. I didn't do spring because I transferred right before spring. When Eddie George got to Bowling Green is when I kind of figured I was going to.
And I meant, is there a spring game? Because I know a lot of colleges aren't doing that anymore.
So they do it different now. Honestly, they have a spring game and a spring showcase. So if it's a spring game, then it has to be national televised. If they name it as a spring showcase, then you don't have to televise it. You can it's like a practice pretty much.
Okay.
So some teams want to make it like a showcase, so they don't want people to see what.
Because they want you to stay at Purdue.
They don't want other teams to see what they have, the weapons they have.
Aha, got it.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So in addition to everything going on, school, football, you threw a camp, last week?
A few days ago, actually. I think it was Saturday.
Saturday, gotcha.
Yeah, Saturday.
How many kids you say had show up?
95.
That's awesome, man. I'll be honest with you. 100 kids is a lot to get to a camp, especially year one.
Yeah, and I only put it out a week, not even a week before the camp even was started.
Went
So
quick. Over there at Glen Oak, right?
We had it at Glen Oak.
What's the name of Glen Oak's field now?
Bob Cummings.
Bob
'Cause
Cummings,
it's the
yeah.
former Massillon guy, right?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is I seen that it was at Bob Cummings over there at Glen Oak. I didn't want to call it Glen Oak Field and be disrespectful. But you know, it usually takes a few years to get a camp like that off the ground. So I'm glad to see you had some success in year one. And from some of the pictures I saw, unfortunately I didn't get out to it, but going forward, I definitely am available to you for your camp. You had a couple players out there. I saw former Tigers. You had a couple guys show up.
Yeah, I had Jaden Ballard was there. I had Wilcher Hartson, and then Jay Crable he was here, and then he went to Hovind.
It's fantastic
And,
to hear about the successful first year of your camp. And it's
Yeah,
even
man,
better
that's
that
crazy.
We could edit it out.
I told you they listening.
Yep.
That's
They
crazy.
listening.
That's funny.
You mentioned a couple guys there. Crave, where's he? Jay Crable. He's at OU. He's at Ohio.
He's at Ohio right now, and he's actually the starting defense end right now.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
He's put on a lot of weight. He looks good.
Yeah. He looked in the picture. It's tough to tell because he's with kids, but
He's huge, and he's probably one of their best DNs.
okay. Wow.
100%.
Good for him. And then where's Will Trell at now?
He's at Ashland right now. He's their starting running back.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was at. Did he just transfer?
So he was at Ohio State, then he went to Southern Illinois. Now he's at Ashland. Yeah.
Okay.
Started at Ashland.
And then obviously Jaden Ballard just transferred over to Wisconsin.
Mhm.
He's up there. You played with Nolan, right? You got a year with Nolan.
Yep, I got a year with him.
Nolan's at Wisconsin. I was talking to Ballard about that. Asked him how Nolan was doing. He said he's fitting in well. You know, linemen usually don't have. If they find more other linemen and they figure it all out, they usually adapt pretty
It's
well.
easier, yeah.
So you know, camp. What made you, I guess, want to do the camp? Obviously, you had a really good turnout, so that means people. Your name means something, and you've left a good impression in the area. But what inspired you to want to do a camp?
Well, the only person that really does a camp like that around here is Gary Conley.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in the NFL when he really started doing it. And I grew up in Canton, and I came to Massillon, obviously. But in my area, there's not many people.
I hear you.
I didn't say no.
You can't give him no ammo.
Every time somebody I just give him a nice good little look.
But no,
That's
people,
okay.
people in the area, I feel like
Yep.
they get to my level and they just don't look out for the youth or help the youth, because there's a lot of kids around here that don't have the things that I had growing up and being able to do camps and stuff like that. So I figured just host a free camp and just let kids come out, have fun, and showcase their skills and win prizes and stuff like that.
That's awesome. And it seems like that's what happened. Everybody seemed like they had a good time.
It was great.
So you had some shirts out there. You gave away some prizes.
Mm-hmm.
And what'd you tell me when we were talking before this? One of the girls actually from the flag football team won your camp MVP.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, she was. She's really good player.
Yeah, and I was telling you, I coached girls flag this past year and have a newfound appreciation for flag football, but also the girls. Everybody asked how it was coaching the girls, and to be honest with you, they listen better. They don't have an they want to get better, and that's good to hear. Did you have a few females at the camp then?
Yep, had a few of them there.
That's
yeah.
awesome. That's good stuff. Plan on making it a yearly deal?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it every single year.
Awesome.
That was my first annual camp. Do it every year.
Gotcha. So in going from making the transition, you had a successful career at Massillon. When you got to Akron, now, I'm getting a little older. My they don't click like it used to, but you played year one, right?
Yes, I
right
did.
away at Akron.
Yeah, I did in redshirt. I played a lot as a freshman.
And what did you? I guess was there anything where you got there and you were like, oh wow, this isn't high school anymore? Or was it always, did you feel prepared? Tell me a little bit about your transition from your high school to college experience.
I was about to say, coming to Massillon, I definitely felt prepared. This is pretty much a high school college, But when I got there, I was always the best player on my team. No matter where I was at, I was always the guy, one of the guys on the team. And I got to Akron, and I was it was weird. I was kind of depressed because now I'm not with the starters. I'm with the fours, and we're going through camp. And we're having scrimmages, and I'm not getting no reps because it's obviously older guys, more experienced. They're gonna put them in, and it was really depressing. I was telling my mom, I honestly don't know if I wanted to do it because it was really hard on me not being able to play that year. Mm-hmm. And then after I think it was week 3 or 4, we had a defensive tackle actually hit the portal, and another spot was available, so they were just trying to see who was able to come up, and they were picking other guys that was older than me, so I just had to wait my turn, and then once they brought me up, I just did good. Like,
So to rewind that a little bit, he hit the portal week 4 of the season.
So in college, like, you can hit the portal whenever you want. You just can't talk to coaches. So he probably, like, this was his senior year. He never redshirted. So he hit the portal, which is, you can play 4 games in redshirt. Since he never redshirted, he hit the portal, played his 4 games, and he just waited, worked out, trained, and then he got an extra year because he never redshirted. So he finally used his redshirt, and then just went to another school
Gotcha.
next year.
Gotcha. So you said something in there, and I could tell just by the inflection in your voice. You said it was tough for you to mentally get through that block, and I think that's something, you know, that I dealt with when I first got to college, and I think a lot of guys deal with that. That's never really spoke about a lot. Like, you know, everybody hears about, oh, Marcus is going to Purdue, or we take a picture of Marcus holding up a championship trophy, or, you know, you're taking pictures of your camp, but nobody ever talks about that moment when you're calling mom and doubting whether or not, I mean, I don't want to say it, put words in your mouth, but it's almost like you're not, is this for me?
No,
you know, because I was
exactly
there.
how it was, yeah.
You know, do I really want to play college football? Do I really want to make these sacrifices? And then that transitions into, am I good enough to be? You start, what was it? And, you know, and I think it's important. What was it that got you through that? Because, you know, there was always the running joke when I went to school. We had a lot of guys from Massillon that on National Signing Day, everybody had a pen in their hand. And then a year later, they're back home. You know, and that was always the thing, was if you get through Christmas was always the joke. If after Christmas break you go back to school, you're going to make it, because it's just that first summer, that first season. Yes. How did you get through it? Like, what was it that got you to mentally get through? Because I think it was more mental than physical for you.
Yeah, I would just say, like all the work that I put in before this, like, was for the opportunity. So I obviously prepared, I trained for it, and I just really just had to put my head down and stay humble and keep working. Like, I had a family. It's pretty much like you want to go to NFL, and that's really the only way your family is going to eat. Like, that's the easiest way out from where I come from, you know, just going to the league without doing anything other stupid things, you know. But really just keep my head down and staying humble and just keep working. Like, I knew it was going to pay off.
Yeah.
Just keep staying level-headed. I couldn't get too high and I couldn't get too low. Coach Moorhead at Akron, actually, he always, like, used to emphasize that. Like, you got to be level-headed. You can't go too high and can't go too low. You just got to stay at the same rate, and that really helped me out.
Sure. And then that gets you through the point of keep working, believing in yourself. Because I think it's a testament to, it's not easy. You know, all of us anybody that accomplishes anything, everybody applauds once you get the victory, and everybody applauds once you got the trophy. But when you're there and you have that mental block and things are tough, you're by yourself.
Exactly.
You know, and you said something within that is the guy jumped into the portal, the other older classmen got their shot first, and when you got your shot, because you didn't give up on yourself and you stayed ready, and that's really, you know, you hear luck is preparation meeting opportunity, and because you were prepared, when you got your opportunity, you took advantage of it. Now you control your pen. You write your story. Exactly. You know what I mean? And I think that's something for everybody to hear is you're going to go to college. I remember talking to Chase Bond, and he got there at one point down at NC State, and they went out to some camp, and they did team bonding where they put him in the lake up to their neck, all this other stuff. And yeah, everybody goes through that, but nobody talks about how hard that really is. And, you know, football does transition into life. It's a microcosm of life. There's going to be periods where you think, like, man, you doubt yourself. Am I doing things right? Can I get through it? And stories like that is just a testament of believe in yourself and keep pushing. And when your opportunity comes, take advantage of it. So I appreciate you sharing that, because a lot of people don't bring that part of it up. You know, so you had your success at Akron. Was there any reason why you wanted to leave Akron? Was there a big thing for that?
There wasn't really a big reason why. I mean, there was a lot of like defensive linemen that we had I played with, and they were all like seniors, and they were all transferring, trying to go to the next level. And I would have been like one of the leaders on the D line, but I wanted to try something new and go to a bigger level and try to just, play against better competition because I want to go to the NFL.
Yeah.
And I want to play against Big Ten players every single week and see how that is because if I play against Big Ten players every week, I'm going to be playing. There's a lot of NFL teams watching every week.
Absolutely.
To where in the MAC, there's NFL teams watching, but realistically, they're going to want to watch a Big Ten game than a MAC game, if we're just being honest.
So we were talking to Coach Hose in the hallway. Obviously, we had him on film. You were in here with us. But we talked about something. I don't know if you were standing in the hallway. Who was it? Was it Cooper? Who just got drafted, NBA 1 overall?
Was it Cooper Flag?
Cooper Flag.
Yeah.
And we were talking, Coach Hose brought up a story that there was an interview done with Cooper and his parent and his mom, and that he actually reclassified. So his years, you know what I mean? He should still be a freshman in college going into it. And the reason why he reclassified was his mom told him, if you're the best player in the gym, find another gym. You know, and he wanted to go somewhere where he was going to be pushed to bring out the best in him, which oddly and ironically is almost exactly what you just said, in other words. So it's interesting to hear after Coach Hose just talked about that and you weren't even in the room for that conversation, but it sounds like, you have a goal of playing in the NFL, and I'm sure that's a scary thought to jump to that next level too. It's very
100%.
uncertain.
100%.
You're the big dog at Akron, and you go somewhere like Purdue, and
Everybody's
a dude, and and not even that, but you haven't proven yourself at Purdue yet, so you have to go there, start from the bottom, and prove yourself. But I give you a lot of credit for taking on those challenges and being willing to face them head on without even blinking. That takes a lot of courage to even stick it out there to do that.
Well, and I wanted to say, because I'm kind of glad, because I was going to ask you, goals, but all right, make the NFL's obvious, probably the big one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I kind of had the same talk with my one buddy many years ago that he was a fighter. We always talk about Canton and Massillon and Stark County in general, but how many people have come from the schools and went pro in something, football, basketball, pro fighting, whatever. Your name's already on that list by just going to college to play football.
Yeah.
Your name was on that list. So,
sure
think
blessing.
about it, when you say you want the NFL, because I used to tell kids when I was in education, because now they tell kids like, you're not going to be a pro, football player. You can't do that. You can't tell kids that, especially not in this area. So I think, you just got to use that as motivation that, man, your name can be on that list
Yeah, for sure.
of people that we go, he's one of the 52 dudes or whatever between McKinley and Massillon.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And Marcus, we talked about earlier with Coach Hose with generations of Tigers before them, and is Eller your cousin?
My cousin, yep.
Ellery Morris, you remember
I
Ellery?
didn't even,
Yep, that's my
man,
cousin.
didn't even make that connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I actually remember when you first came over here, sitting down and Ellery talking about you, and looking forward to you coming over here, and there was a lot of hype around you with that last name coming here, and
Right.
he never yielded from that. He stepped up to the plate and just kept working. I think it was your sophomore year where you actually in the stands for the playoff game, and I don't know why I remember that so vividly.
It was the
seeing
home
him
game.
Yeah,
Best State Championship
when
game.
we had the home game here. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Because I had transferred that next semester. I was here.
Gotcha. And one common theme winding that back into high school is we always talk about, obviously, Tommy's a McKinley guy, I'm a Massillon guy. And do you know Jones? Yeah, you probably don't know Jones. But
Do you know of Jones just because of the videos maybe or nah? You can say no.
I don't
Yeah.
think. If I seen him, I probably know exactly who he is.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we always have a thing about memories from Massillon McKinley game. You got anything about that week or that rivalry or the game specifically that stands out to you?
Something that you'll just never forget.
Honestly, I would say the community, like the community coming out, going through the parade route, seeing the kids like look up, me talking at the fire night like that, like that's just something I'll never forget. Like it was just a great experience for that to be a high school to do something like that. Like
Sure.
all week the hype, you got the pep rally, you got the booster club meetings. Like I was a captain, so I went to like everything. It's just so crazy on how much a community cares for a high school football team, and it's for sure a blessing. It's something that I told a lot of my coaches in college, if I had the opportunity to play at Massillon my whole life, I would do that.
Yeah,
100%. Because you get with it, like anything you want. Like you get the support, you get the fans, you get the gear. Like it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, was there any part of that week? It's been so long since I played that I try to. There is a lot. You just alluded to it. There's breakfasts, there's lunches, there's pep rallies. There's something going on outside of practice and school every day.
Every hour of every day.
Every day. There's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Did any of that, I guess, distract you from the actual game, or is it one of those things? Once it's game day, none of that matters, or how does all that come into it?
It really didn't distract me. Like, obviously, I had a good time doing the pep rally and stuff like that. But obviously, like being from Canton, like all the people I grew up with plays on that team. So like, it's like I got to lock in even more because those people, like I'm obviously a Division I football commit.
Right.
Those people don't, like they're my friends. They want to take what I have. Like when you're on the field, like they want to beat me. So like now I have to like play at a different level and just stay, like I said earlier, stay level headed. That's all you got to do is just stay level headed.
What'd you say earlier? Don't get too high, don't get too low.
Yeah.
That comes with in both situations. Now I've heard you say that.
Yeah.
Now, was there any part, like the question I always get, and I'm kind of smiling as I say it because I laugh. I think it's a laughable question. You've been a part of the streak that we got going on now with against McKinley. I always get the question: does it take away from the rivalry when they don't win one? And I always laugh because to me, I mean, it doesn't get old winning that game.
Exactly.
Like
100%.
And like I don't want to know the other side of that coin. So I don't know. Does that ever, or did you feel more like you had to uphold the standard of keeping that? Like, did any of that weigh on you at all? I mean,
yeah, I would say Coach Weber. That's he said something to us like before the game even started, because I think it was a one day at practice where like some guys weren't taking it serious. Like, oh, we're up 6 games on them. Like they're not. But at one point in time, like, picking on a little brother, they're going to swing back. And Coach Weber told us in the locker room, he was like, I think it was 7 when I was there. He was like, don't be that team that Massillon that everyone talks about, that you were the first team to break the streak of losing to McKinley.
Yeah.
And when he said that, it really stuck with me. I'm like, you can't be that team, because then that's going to be the team that everyone talks about. Like, you're the last team that lost to McKinley when you had a big streak.
Yeah.
So that's just something that really stuck out to me.
So it almost became more of don't be that team versus getting bored of winning that game.
Exactly.
Which that's a great way to reframe that. Hopefully I'm gonna steal that and use that in the locker room again. But that's real. I mean, you don't want to be the team that says, "Hey, we beat them 9 years in a row until you guys came around."
Exactly.
That is good.
Coach Weber said that, and that really stuck with me for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. So anything else as far as like in that game that stands out? A play you made, a play you watched be made? Is there anything like what stands out when you think about your games versus McKinley?
Only thing that stood out, I mean, it's football at the end of the day. Like, you just go out, do what you're supposed to do, have fun. At the end of the day, you want to have fun playing the game.
Sure.
But one thing that stuck out to me is when we were running out the tunnel, all the fans was like getting on me because I'm a Canton kid. So like they were talking trash, like they stole you guys from us. It's just not how they don't know what's like the story behind on why I came here and stuff, you know. But it was funny to see something like that, like a city to say something like that where I'm from, and now everybody just harps on me. It's just funny to look back and see stuff like that.
Sure. Well, and then you get a little bit older, and then you come back home, and probably some of those same people that was sending hate your way is now sending love your way.
Love. And I remember exactly which ones that was standing up.
You always will.
Yep. I remember exactly which ones it is.
Mm-hmm. Nice. And then your year, who was you had Slaughter, right?
Slaughter, yeah. So my junior year, I had Darius and Slaughter, and then senior year was Slaughter.
In your senior year, was it the state championship or against
Final
Holman?
Four, we lost to Holman at Akron.
And you played both ways that game, right?
Game didn't come out.
That's right.
Damn.
That's right. We were just talking about that with when's the last time we had a true two-way lineman, and I was like, I think Marcus played the whole game, both sides of the ball. And
yeah, I remember asking Coach Major. I said, Coach, I need like 2 plays off. He was like, dude, you got to stay in. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to die on the field.
Yeah. And I remember when you came on the field, I didn't even look at you because I didn't want you to tell me you needed 2 plays. We didn't have that option.
I didn't have it. I had to, in a game like that, you got to.
So what's your thoughts about that? You know, I talked to Coach Hose earlier about guys playing multiple sports. That's always a hot button issue. And the other hot button issue is, you have all the experts around town and around wherever that. What's your thoughts on playing both ways in high school?
Like O-line, D-line, playing both sides. I think it prepares you for college, honestly, because you being able to, it helped me because I play O-line. I know kick sets. I know what the O-linemen, what they want to strike for. So me being a defensive lineman, I've been through the O-line training sessions. I've been through the D-line training sessions. So when I'm going against an O-lineman, like, I really just think, like, what would I do in this situation if a D-lineman lined up against me like this? So I just look at it in both views, and I feel like that helps me out a lot.
That's actually a really good thing to pick up, especially at your age. And I've always kind of said that was why I felt like I was a good D-line coach, was because I played O-line.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I knew what situations I didn't want to be in.
100%.
You know what I mean? That's interesting that you brought that up. So that was, in your opinion, that's your advantage to knowing both is to know the situations of both. That's interesting. I never heard that take. Is there anything else about playing at Massillon that, or you know what I mean, just over the years being here? I know you was here for 2. What were some of your other, things that you took away? It doesn't even necessarily have to be football moments, but, I know we do a lot here with Coach Moore and the retreats and trying to teach a lot more than just football, about being better men. Tell me something about your experience here that helped you take that next step, not necessarily just in football, but just as far as a man.
I'm about to say, like, obviously, like, transferring to a new school. I know players here, but I don't really know players. So you got to, like, really just fit in. And I remember having a retreat, and I was always scared of talking in front of people. And I remember Coach Moore put me on blast, was like, you got to talk today. And he was like, you got to talk about what it means to be a Tiger and a whole bunch of stuff. And then it's like 3 days before the retreat, I believe it was, and I'm just sitting at home thinking, like, I don't know what to say. And I told a personal story about, like, my grandma passing and stuff like that, and I remember crying in front of the team. As a man, you don't want to cry. Like, it's just a thing that you don't cry. And me crying in front of the team, I just felt like I got so much closer to that team. And it's just, I don't know, it was a great thing. I feel like that I shared a personal experience because everybody's story is different. And me being able to tell my story, like what it means to be a Tiger, my background and stuff like that, it was truly a blessing to just be a part of that. And I feel like that has brought our team so much closer than what it was, to be honest.
Gotcha. Interesting.
I got one question that I wanted to ask for a while. So, do you plan on graduating for Purdue?
100%.
In what?
Right now I'm in selling and sales management.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't think we asked that. So
I told my mom I'm not transferring no more. I'm staying.
That's why
I love the staff. I love the community. It's just, I love the strength and conditioning. I love everything about it.
I was just going to say, get the degree.
Yeah, 100%. I'm thankful to be at that level, and that's one of the first Big Ten teams that reached out to me, so I'm going to stay loyal.
And I think that's something I think you might have been getting the equipment. We talked about that is when you get a bachelor's degree from the University of Purdue.
Yeah, that's what I was
I'm
like,
sorry,
man.
I butchered it again.
It doesn't matter.
When you get it from Purdue, that's a big accomplishment.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad to hear that you're aware of how important that is and that stuff. So, well, what else you got, man? You got your camps going on. When do you report back down to Purdue?
I leave Sunday morning. Then we got
coming up.
Yeah, we got 3 more weeks of off season or summer conditioning, summer workouts. Then we got about 3 days off, 3 days off, and then we report August 1st for camp.
When you guys report, is your camp on campus or do you go somewhere? Or?
I honestly don't know how that works yet with them. I know at Akron there wasn't really. We just go back to our dorm or wherever.
I got you.
That. But I'm thinking that we might have a hotel, like a team hotel that we're gonna go to and stay there.
Nice, gotcha.
Yeah,
gotcha. Well, is there anything else you want to talk about here that you want to plug? I mean, I know we was kind of all over the place with camps we talked about.
Anyone you want to shout out while we're on camera? Any supporters or something? Shout out.
Honestly, family, obviously, and the whole Massillon community. Like, it's just, I'm just thankful I came to this school because it's nothing like being at Massillon. I'm just so blessed to have the chance to just come here and play football here.
Yeah.
It's nothing like it.
Well, and we talked about it earlier all week. Like, it happens every summer, and probably even when you were playing here, guys, it's not just lip service where guys are just saying it. Like guys really come back here. You know what I mean? And it'd be easy to just say that because we're in front of a camera on a microphone, but the reality is guys come back. Like if you come in our indoor over the summer, I mean Dean Clark and Caden Willard are both NFL guys. They're coming back here to work out. You know, guys that are in college, Jaden Ballard was here. We talked about these guys. They really show up, and you can hear it when they talk. They really do care about the program and want to give back, and all that just reaffirms it. You know, sometimes even as coaches and leaders in a program, like you hope and you think you're doing the right things, but when we hear stuff like that, it really does reaffirm that what we're doing is working, and you know, it's breeding more than just wins and losses. And because a lot of people can win and lose games, but are you making better human beings?
Absolutely,
you know what I mean?
For sure.
So it's really with some pride when we see you guys come back doing good stuff, and we really are proud of you guys for all that. And I think before, if you still got a couple minutes, we need to take a trip down the hallway and show Tommy this bell.
Oh yeah, we can end down.
And you know, I want you to keep 2 eyes on him because that's the only way they're gonna get one of them back in Canton if they pull it back behind the vehicle.
I told him when I first got here, I was like, yeah, you know, I never touched the bell because I didn't play football, so it's like, you know, I got to get them Canton germs on that bell.
We'll disinfect it.
Disinfect it right after.
Yeah, right. Wipe it down.
So strength and conditioning, though, I mean, was it a big? I mean, obviously we run a pretty good program here. Was that a big jump though, just when you got to college? Or?
Honestly, I would say it's a big jump, but Coach Stu does an amazing job, like preparing players for college.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
There's a lot of students or players that come in to workouts and just like never did A skip, and I'm like, what were you doing? Like never did an A skip. Like you just look at them and you can tell they haven't been through a program. And this Coach Stu, he definitely puts us through pain, but it's worth it, 100%. Because when I got to college, I feel like I was prepared. It sucks, it hurts working out. Like it's not fun, but I feel like I was kind of prepared.
And I always said the same thing when I went to school. Like I felt more like I was a second year sophomore my first year because these guys are still learning how to work and how to do an A skip or properly squat, or
we do that here.
You can't get through here without knowing that kind of stuff, and it's been like that here since Coach Stu's dad was the strength coach. He was getting guys ready to go, but it really is. That's kind of a common theme we hear from guys too, is they feel like they're at least ready to compete.
100%.
Like you get there and obviously everybody's big, fast, and strong. We talked about that. Everybody was a dude at their high school that's on scholarship.
Yep.
But going there with the knowledge of how to work hard is definitely an advantage.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, so. And you had to put that work in. That's not something that's just, you know, somebody can give you the blueprint, but you still have to do it. So
yeah, it definitely sucks, but you guys got to put your head down and keep working.
Well, cool. We'll take this show on the road. And
let's go see the bell.
See some trophies and some bells.
Yep. Well, might as well get this one going outside, huh?
Hold on now.
See if it fits in the old trunk.
I heard a suspicious knock going on out here. See my man Jones, we got a suspicious knock going on at the door. Sound like a Canton knock to me. What we got here? Let's see who we got here. Hey man, you ever been in this indoor before?
No.
We're gonna show you what a real facility looks like, man. Go ahead, pop your eyes in there. See what you got going on in there. That's what a real facility look like. Let these Canton guys feast their eyes on that one time. Make it look like you was doing pull-ups. I wonder how long you realize this is a video.
All right, so that's rolling.
Some of that we probably should have had on tape because some of those stories are cool. Like we'll sit around and we'll do podcasts like this.
Retell it if you want.
And we'll start talking about stories, and I was like, damn, why didn't anybody hit play? Like that was gold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You like waste the material before you get
That
going.
happened our whole first time together with
me,
you and Jones.
That's how you turn a 60-minute session into 3 hours. You can talk for 2 hours before you start.
Yep.